Business in the 217 on the WMAY morning news feed, connecting with Michelle Ownbey from the Springfield Business Journal about all things happening in and around the area. And sometimes we get new businesses, other times we get transitions of businesses. Michelle, thanks for taking time with us on WMAY. We got two stories in particular dealing with transitions. Tell us about those.
Good morning, Greg. Yes, one is a follow-up to a piece we had done, I guess, 2 years ago now, back in March 2020. We talked about Beverly Hopkins and Ashley Kristalovich, two longtime local yoga practitioners teaming up to open their own business, Flow Midwest Yoga and Meditation, over on West Isles in that same shopping center with the office. But now things have changed a bit. Ashley has left that practice, and Beverly has teamed up with someone else, Justina Schott, who had Trailhead Healing Arts Center over on South Grand. So as of a few weeks ago, Trailhead Healing Arts has now merged with Flow Midwest Yoga. And, Beverly said even though it was a bit of unfortunate timing trying to open a new business right before the pandemic, they had to go virtual the first few months until they could have classes in person, but she said they were still able to keep things going with that. And so they've got a total of a dozen instructors now in addition to the two of them, and they're doing some teacher training and other good things as well.
Yeah, it's great to see that people are going to be able to tap into a broad swath of experience when it comes to that type of achievement of health and wellness. So good to see that. You've also got a transition from the veterinary space, looking at one practice given off to another practice. Tell us about this.
Yes, and actually kind of a shift in business model as well. Dr. Dina Nelson has had All Cat Clinic, which, as the name implies, is a feline-only practice since 1989. I've actually been going to her for a couple decades myself with my furry felines, and she has now decided to slow things down a bit. She has sold her veterinary practice to Dr. Melinda Kilty and Dr. Erica Eggenbrod. They both most recently practiced at the Animal Emergency Clinic on Wabash. So they've bought All Cat Clinic. They're going to rename it Five Star Veterinary Care, open it up to dogs as well as cats. But it's not going to be a traditional veterinary practice. This is actually going to be more like an urgent care concept. So they'll be open during regular business hours. But again, with the pandemic, there's backlogs in a lot of areas, and veterinary care is no exception. So sometimes people have trouble getting in to see their regular providers, and this will give them another option if they have something that just can't wait.
And these are just some of the things that you will find regularly with the Springfield Business Journal, and you will get information on how to subscribe to that and get biz bites and more. But first, Michelle, tell us about cannabis tax dollars. A lot of cannabis has been sold since the beginning of January of 2020, and with that comes a lot of tax revenue split all kinds of different ways, and some of that's coming right back to the Springfield area. Tell us about it.
Yes, this has been a hot topic lately, and I think a couple months ago you and I talked about the city launching their new programs for how they were going to spend their share of the cannabis tax revenue. But of course, the state also has money that they're reinvesting. They've set aside a certain percentage of the taxes from cannabis sales to reinvest in underserved communities and communities that were disproportionately impacted by the war on drugs, that sort of thing. So there was about 1.5 million in state grants awarded to 5 different Springfield organizations last year. So they're just coming up on the 1 year mark where they have to submit the report showing how the money was spent. And interestingly, the state automatically extended the funding for a second year. So now these grantees get the same amount of money for year 2 without having to reapply. So they're actually getting double the amount they were originally awarded. And, Land of Lincoln Legal Aid has launched some new programs to help people with expungement and other legal matters. The Urban League has started a job training program for the minority community. But the most interesting one, I think, is East Springfield Community Center Commission. This is a nonprofit run by Damian Johnson, and they were the largest recipient, just over $800,000 for year 1, more than all the others combined. And he's the one that for the last few years has been advocating for Star Village, this concept of an amusement park, water park, sports complex on Springfield's east side. And so using this cannabis grant money, they have apparently funded the initial feasibility study for that. I don't think that report has been publicly released yet, but it will be interesting to see see the results of that study, especially now that in the meantime we've already got this sports complex underway out in the Legacy Point area by Shields.
Absolutely something we'll hear more about at the Springfield City Council, as we've already heard about that issue and others when it comes to cannabis tax dollars coming back to the Springfield area. Michelle Ownbey, Springfield Business Journal. How can people stay plugged in?
Definitely get online, springfieldbusinessjournal.com. You can sign up for Biz Bites. That's our weekly newsletter, and it's free of charge with a roundup of what's happening in the business community. And of course, you can also sign up to make sure you get the print edition delivered directly to your home or office.
Always appreciate it. Michelle Ownbey, publisher of the Springfield Business Journal. Have a great Wednesday.
Thanks, Greg. You